Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humanoids of all descriptions, welcome to the channel. I'm Cap, this is my place. This week, we're back in the kitchen for our monthly cooking video. As always, instructional videos in the kitchen are intended for those of you who, one way or another, have found yourself on your own and unprepared to fend for yourself in the kitchen. As always, I'm going to start with equipment, going over what's necessary and what's nice to have, followed by ingredients. We're going to do the cook, and then I'll show you the finished product. So let's get started. So, for this month's equipment, you're going to need a colander. It's a container with holes in it. It allows water to pass through and retains the food items. Frequently utilized for draining pasta or vegetables that have been boiled. We're going to need our deep 9-inch pot with a lid. We're going to need a sharp knife, a cutting board, a can opener, and as always, our friend, my grandmother's favorite tool for raising children, the big wooden spoon. For nice to have, we've got some nitrile gloves. Look, if you're cooking food, especially for other people, and you've got something like that on your hand, especially if it's fresh, don't just put a Band-Aid over it. Cover it with some gloves. So I'm going to clear this away. I'm going to bring out the ingredients, and we can get started with that. So this month's recipe is another one of my grandmother's Depression-era recipes. It's beans and greens. The greens in this case are called escarole. It's a type of lettuce. So you're going to need a head of escarole, and you're going to need 2 cans of beans. These cans are 15.5 ounces. You're going to need a decent sized onion. You're going to need a clove of garlic. I like garlic. We can be flexible with that. If you like garlic, put a little more in. You're going to need some salt, some ground black pepper, and some crushed red pepper. Now, for those of you who are detached from the food chain and simply consume, vegetables like escarole and other types of lettuce are grown on the ground. They need to be washed. They tend to be full of dirt, and they're down low where animals walking through farm fields may poop on them. Birds can do that, and so we're going to put this in the colander and we're going to wash it. Let's get to it. So I've got my head of escarole, and we're going to tear the leaves off, and we're going to tear them into approximately 2-inch pieces. Once I've completed this task, I'm going to go over to the sink and I'm going to wash this. Any type of lettuce that you purchase at any grocery store needs to be washed. It may not be full of dirt, but if you don't wash it, you're going to find unpleasant bits of grit in your food. So let's get that done. I'll turn the camera back on. Like I was saying, I don't know if that was ever alive and moving. But that's what we find in fresh vegetables, and that's why you have to wash them. I'm going to shut the camera off and be right back. So, I've washed the escarole and it's sitting in the sink draining. I've taken my onion and my garlic and I've sliced them up fairly thin. They're going to go in our 9-inch pot with some olive oil, and we're going to cook the onions until they start to soften and again become translucent. And from one of our previous videos, we all remember what translucent means. So I'm going to set that up and we'll be right back. So we've got our oil in our pot. We're going to take our onions and our garlic, and into the oil it goes. We're going to leave that alone. We've got just enough olive oil in there so that the onions aren't in contact with the bottom of a dry pot. They're going to soften up, and once they've softened, we're going to add our escarole. So I'll be right back with you when we're ready to do that. So our onions have begun to soften. I have our clean escarole here, which I'm now going to add. I'm going to also put in a little bit of salt and a half cup of water. Once we've got that in there, we're going to allow the escarole to soften up and wilt. And it's going to collapse somewhere between halfway to a third of what its volume is now. After that, I'm going to bring you back. We're going to open the cans of beans, and we're going to add them, and we're going to go the rest of the way. So, the escarole has now wilted down to about half its previous volume. That means it's time to add the beans, the pepper, and the red pepper. Now, when you open a can of beans, it has juice inside it. The juice is good for you. It's got a lot of flavor. So don't pour out the juice. Don't put it in the sink. Don't get rid of it. It's part of the recipe. So, a little bit of black pepper. And a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes. Remember, we're in the kitchen. We're not making a nuclear submarine. The amount of red pepper and black pepper that you use is up to you. If you like the stuff, put more in. It's not a big deal. I'm going to give this a stir. I'm going to move it to the small back burner. I'm going to put the lid back on, shut the camera off, and I'll bring you guys back when this is ready to serve. So, we're all complete. We cooked our beans and greens. I've stored some away. It'll be my dinner for the rest of the week. I'm going to zoom in and give you a look at the finished product. So here we are. It's filling, it's healthy, doesn't cost much to make. As I said, I've got dinner for the week, and all in all, it took me about 45 minutes from start to finish. So we'll see everybody again next week for another video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't be afraid to try new things in the kitchen.